Hey everybody, Matt Bell with the Electric Violin Shop. I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about extended range violins. For hundreds of years, the violin was simply a four-string instrument, E, A, D, G. And that was pretty much just how it was. Throughout the orchestra, if you wanted a different sound, they had violins, violas, cellos, and basses. But in 1963, Bobby Hicks, who was a fiddle player for Bill Monroe, was the first well-known violinist to add a low C string. This had been tried in the past because people are willing to try anything, but never with a lot of success. Sort of the physical limitations of the resonant body of the instrument made getting the balance of low-end power and high-end clarity sort of a challenge. And a lot of the designs were really crazy looking and sort of created more problems than they solved. So it wasn't until the advent of the electric violin, and more specifically the solid body electric, that the extended range violins started coming into more popularity. Because of the solid body construction, basically all you need is just a wider pickup, and that sort of allows luthiers to start exploring a lot more creative avenues. Pretty much everybody makes a five-string electric violin now. We probably have more fives and fours just hanging up. I know we sell more fives than fours. And there are a couple of places that make sixes. Vector Violins makes a really cool six-string violin. Jordan and Wood both make six and seven-string violins. The Wood Viper is available in 4, 5, 6, and 7. The Jordan is available in 4, 5, 6, and 7. So what are the strings? Well, we just keep descending in fifths. We start with E, A, D, G, C. So there's your 5. And then go, the 6th string is an F, and the 7 is a low B flat. So the low B flat is actually a whole step lower than the bottom note of a 4-string cello. And I say 4-string cello because like the violin makers, the cello guys are also going to extended range cellos. They can actually go up. A standard cello is A, D, G, C. They can actually go up to a high E, or they can add a low F, or a 6-string cello, they can have both. So it's not just violinists that get to have all the fun with extended range. There are still challenges with a extended range violin. One of the challenges is curvature. See, we want to have enough curvature that we can separate the strings so you can still play 1 or 2 strings at a time, and you're not trying to bow all 6 strings at once or all 7 strings at once. So you want to have enough curvature that you can play 1 or 2 at a time, but not so much that when you're trying to get to that E, you've got to be way down here, and to get to the low B flat, you've got to be way up here, so you don't have to be a contortionist. If you're a larger person, sometimes if the E is too low, well, you start running out of body. You start running out of ability to get to that string. That is the challenge, sort of balancing curvature. The other challenge is in string spacing. We want to make sure the strings are spaced not so narrow that you can't get your fingers between them, but not so wide that you need giant hands to get around this plank of a neck. So there is a little bit of balance there. These strings are probably a little closer than an average 5-string. And the neck is obviously larger than a 4-string violin. Jordan and Wood have really sort of nailed the balance on that. These are very playable instruments. It does take a little practice. You still sort of want to focus on your top 4 or 5 strings, adding in the lower strings as it's artistically appropriate. We know some players that are very, very small people, with very small hands, that play 6 and 7 string violins without any trouble at all. One of the other things that you have to account for in an extended range violin, when you start adding the C, it's not so much more difficult, but you will notice that the C is a little less responsive, does take a little more meat to sort of move that string. The F and the B flat, however, your 6th and 7th strings, are so big compared to the E and A string that it's noticeably different to play those strings. You sort of got to get into them a little more. You've got to allow a little bit more time for them to respond. Your fingers feel very, very different on those strings. You got to think as well about the bow. We recommend with a 6 or 7 string violin that you look at something like the Kodabow Jewel, which is what I've got here in my hand. This is an outstanding bow. It's an outstanding bow for a 4 or 5 string violin. I love the thing. That's what I play all the time here in the shop. But it is specifically designed through the different construction of the frog to sort of change the balance point of the bow so that it can more easily move your F and B flat strings. Why do I want to go to all the trouble to play an extended range violin? Well, the simple answer is you can play things that a 4-string violin can't, right? I mean, you've got larger range, you've got access to more of the sonic spectrum than a violin does. You can play cello parts. If you're into rock and roll, you can play the guitar parts. On say you want to cover some guitar parts, you throw on some distortion, you come all the way down to that low F, and you're pretty much down as low as a guitar can go. Guitars go down to an E. If you're into electronica, hip hop, R&B, whatever, you can start getting into some of the synth bass parts with a violin. It just really expands the choices that you can make artistically. As always, we're here to answer your questions by phone from 10 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday, and we're available email and on Facebook.